Could I have said, while he was here, my love shall now no further range, there cannot come a mellower change, for now is love mature in year. Love then had hope of richer store, what end is here to my complaint? This haunting whisper makes me faint, more years had made me love thee more. But death returns an answer sweet, my sudden frost was sudden gain, and gave all ripeness to the grain it might have drawn from after heat. I wage not any feud with death, for changes wrought on form and face, no lower life that earth's embrace may breed with him can fright my faith. Eternal process moving on, from state to state the spirit walks, and these are but the shattered stalks or ruined chrysalis of one. Nor blame I death become he bear the use of virtue out of earth. I know transplanted human worth will bloom to profit otherwhere. For this alone on death I wreak the wrath that garners in my heart. He put our lives so far apart, we cannot hear each other speak. Deep down upon the northern shore, O sweet new year, delaying long, thou dost expectant nature wrong, delaying long, delay no more. What stays thee from the clouded noons? Thy sweetness from its proper place can trouble leave with April days, or sadness in the summer moons. Bring orchids, bring the foxglove spire, the little speedwell's darling blue, deep tulips dashed with fairy dew, laburnums dropping wells of fire. O thou new year delaying long, delayest the sorrow in my blood that longs to burst a frozen bud and flood a fresher throat with song. When I contemplate all alone the life that had been thine below, and fix my thoughts on all the glow to which thy crescent would have grown, I see thee sitting crowned with good, a central warmth diffusing place, in glance and smile, and clasp and kiss on all the branches of thy blood. Thy blood, my friend, and partly mine, for now the day was drawing on, when thou shouldest link thy life with one of mine own house and boys of thine. Had babbled uncle on my knee, but thou remorseless iron hour made cypress of her orange flower, despair of hope and earth of thee. I seem to meet their least desire, to clap their cheeks, to call them mine. I see their unburned face sign beside the never lighted fire. I see myself an honored guest, thy partner in the flowery walk of letters, genial table talk, or deep dispute and graceful jest. While now thy prosperous labor fills the lips of men with honest praise, and sun by sun the happy days descend below the golden hills. with promise of a morn as fair, and all the train of bounteous hour, conduct by path of growing powers, to reverence and the silver hair, till slowly warm her earthly robe, her lavish mission richly wrought, leaving great legacies of thought, thy spirit should fail from off the globe. What time mine own might also flee, as linked with thine in love and fate, and hovering over the dolorous stair to the other soul involved in thee. Arrive at last the blessed goal, and he that died in holy lamp would reach us out the shining hand and take us as a single soul. What reed was that on which I leaned? Ah, backward fancy, wherefore wake the old bitterness again and break the low beginnings of content? This truth came, born with fire and pearl, I felt in when I sorrowed most. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. O true in word and tried to in deed, demanding so to bring relief to this which is our common grief, what kind of life is that I lead? And whether trust in things above be deemed of sorrow or sustained, and whether love for him have drained my capabilities of love. Your words have virtue such as draws a faithful answer from the breast, through light reproaches half expressed, and loyal unto kindly laws. My blood and even tenor kept, till on mine ear this message falls, that in Vienna fatal walls God's finger touched him and he slept. The great intelligences fair that range above our moral state in circle round the blessed gate received and gave him welcome there, and led him through the blissful climes, and showed him in the fountain fresh all knowledge that the sons of flesh shall gather in the cycle times. But I remained whose hopes were dim, whose life, whose thoughts were little worth, to wander on a darkened earth, where all things round me breathed of him. O friendship, equal poised control, O heart, with kindliest motion warm, O sacred essence, other form, O solemn ghost, O crowned soul. Yet none could better know than I how much of act at human hands the sense of human will demands, by which we dare to live or die. Whatever way my days decline, I felt and feel, though left alone, his being working in mine own, the footsteps in his life in mine. A life that all the muses decked with gifts of grace that might express all comprehensive tenderness, all subtilizing intellect. And so my passion hath not served to works of weakness, but I find an image comforting the mind, and in my grief a strength reserved. Likewise the imaginative woe that loved to handle spiritual style diffused the shock through all my life, but in the present broke the blow. My pulses therefore beat again for other friends that once I met, nor can it suit me to forget the mighty hopes that make us men. I woo your love, I count it crime to mourn for any overmuch. I, the divided half of such a friendship as had mastered time, which masters time indeed, and is eternal separate from fears. The all assuming months and years can take no part away from this. But summer on the steaming floods, and spring that swells the narrow brooks, and autumn with a noise of rooks that gather in the warning woods, and every pulse of wind and wave recalls in change of light or gloom my old affection of the tomb and my prime passion in the grave. My old affection of the tomb, a part of stillness, yearns to speak. Arise and get thee forth and seek a friendship for the years to come. I watch thee from the quiet shore, thy spirit up to mine can reach, but in dear words of human speech we two communicate no more. And I can clouds of nature stain the starry clearness of the free. How is it, canst thou feel for me some painless sympathy with pain? And lightly does the whisper fall, 'tis hard for thee to fathom this. I triumph in conclusive bliss, and that serene result of all. So hold I commence with the dead, or so methinks the dead would say, or so shall grief with symbols play, and pining life be fancy fed. Now looking to some settled end, that these things pass and I shall prove a meeting somewhere, love with love, I crave your pardon, O my friend. If not so fresh with love as true, I clasping brother hands over, I could not, if I would, transfer the whole I felt for him to you. For which be they that hold apart the promise of the golden hours, first love, first friendship, equal powers, that marry with the virgin heart. Still mine that cannot but deplore that beats within a lonely place, that yet remembers his embrace, but at his footsteps sleeps no more. My heart, though widowed, may not rest quiet in the love of what is gone, but seeks to beat in time with one that warms another living breast. Ah, take the imperfect gift I bring, knowing the prime rose yet is dear, the prime rose of the later year, as not unlike to that of spring. Sweet after showers, ambrosial air that rollest from the gorgeous gloom, or evening over brake and bloom, and meadow slowly breathing bare. The round of space and wrapped below, through all the davy tasseled wood, and shadowing down the horned flood, in ripples fan my brows and blow. The fever from my cheek and sigh, the full new life that feeds my breath throughout my frame, till doubt and death, ill brethren, let the fancy fly. From belt to belt of crimson seas, on leagues of order streaming far, to where in yonder orient star 100 spirits whisper peace. I passed beside the reverend walls in which of old I wore the gown. I roved at random through the town and saw the tumult of the halls, and heard once more in college fens the storm their high-built organs make, and thunder music rolling shake the prophet blazoned on the panes, and caught once more the distant shout, the measured pulse of racing oars among the willows, paced the shores, and many a bridge, and all about the same grey flats again, and felt the same, but not the same, and last, up that long walk of lines I passed to see the rooms in which he dwelt. Another name was on the door. I lingered, all within was noise of songs and clapping hands and voice that crashed the glass and beat the floor. Where once we held debate, a band of youthful friends on mind and art and labor and the changing mart and all the framework of the land. When one would aim an arrow fair, but send it slackly from the string, and one would pass an outer ring, and one an inner here and there. And last the master bowman, he would cleave the mark, a willing ear we lent him, who but hung to hear the rapt oratory flowing free from point to point with power and grace, and music in the bounds of law, to those conclusions when we saw the God within him light his face, and seem to lift the form and glow in error, in azure orbits, heavenly wise, and over those eternal eyes, the bar of Michelangelo. Wild bird whose warble liquid sweet rings Eden through the budded quakes, oh tell me where the senses mix, oh tell me where the passions meet. Whence radiate fire's extremes employ thy spirits in the darkening leaf, and in the midmost heart of grief thy passion clasps, O sacred joy. And I, my harp, would prelude woo. I cannot all command the strings. The glory of the sum of things will flash along the chords and go. Which amps that counterchange the flow of this flat lawn with dusk and bright, and thou with all thy breadth and height of foliage towering sycamore. How often hither wandering down, my Arthur found your shadows fair, and shook to all the liberal air the dust and dim and steam of town. He brought an eye for all he saw, he mixed in all our simple sports. They pleased him, fresh from prowling courts and dusty purlieus of the law. O joy to him in this retreat, immantled in ambrosial dark, to drink the cooler air and mark the landscape winking through the heat. O sound to rout the brood of cares, the sweep of scythe in morning dew, the gust that round the garden flew and tumbled half the mellowing pears. O please, when all in circle drawn about him, heart and ear were fed, to hear him as he lay and read the dusken poets on the lawn. Or in the all golden afternoon, a guest or happy sister sung, or here she brought the harp and flung a ballad to the brightening moon. Nor less it pleased in livelier moods beyond the pounding hills to stray, and break the livelong summer day and banquet in the distant woods. Whereat we glanced from theme to theme, discussed the books to love or hate, or touched the changes of the state, or threaded some Socratic dream. But if I praise the busy town, he loved to rail against it still, for ground in yonder social meal, we rub each other's angles down. And merge, he said, in form and glass, the picturesque of man and man. We dogged the stream breath as us ran. We dogged the stream beneath us ran, the wine flask lying couched in moss, or cooled within the glooming wave, and last returning from afar, before the crimson circled star had fallen into her father's grave. And brushing ankle deep in flowers, we heard behind the woodbine well the milk that bubbled in the pail, and buzzings of the honeyed hours. He tasted love with half his mind, not ever drank the inviolate spring, where nightest heaven who first could fling this bitter seed among mankind, that could the dead whose dying eyes were closed with veil resume their life, they would but find in child and wife an iron welcome when they rise. 'Twas well indeed when warm with wine, to place them with a kindly tear, to talk them over, to wish them here, to count their memories half divine. But if they came who passed away, behold their brides in other hands, the hard hire strides about their lands, and will not yield them for a day. Yes, though their sons were none of these, not less the yet loved sire would make confusion worse than death, and shake the pillars of domestic peace. Ah, dear, but come thou back to me, whatever change the years have wrought. I find not yet one lonely thought that cries against my wish for thee.